In general, to find the values of the arcsine, the arccosine, and the arctangent in any of the equations given, all you need to do is to follow this guides. Okay? To find the arcsine, all you need to do is to uh, first have in mind that sine x is the vertical coordinate over the radius. In other words, when you are dealing with what you call the SOHCAHTOA, that would be opposite over hypotenuse. Okay? And that's the same as the vertical coordinate being the opposite side and the radius being the hypotenuse. And so to find the solution or to find the other value for the arcsine, all you need to do is to reflect across the vertical axis. So if this is our arcsine, then reflect it here on the vertical axis, and then you will find the other arcsine, and that would be this one. It's pi minus the arcsine of something, let's say A. Okay? So this is the first value, and this is the second value. Okay? Now for arccosine, all you need to do is to reflect across the x-axis. If on the in getting the values for arcsine, we reflect it across the vertical axis. For arccosine, we reflect across the horizontal axis, meaning that if we have a certain solution which gives this as the arccosine, all you need to do is to reflect it across the horizontal axis, so that this will be our x1 and this is our x2, and our x1 and x2 are of the values cosine or arccosine of something, and this one will be negative arccosine of something. Okay, for the arctangent, which is also the tangent x taken from the tangent x equals vertical coordinate over the horizontal coordinate, or that's opposite over adjacent, reflect across both axes. So when you do reflect across both axes, that means that if your tangent is here, if your arctan is here, then all you need to do is to reflect it across the vertical and horizontal, so you get this what do you call this? This values for the arctangent. So we have x1 here and x2 here. So x1 and x2 have their own values. Okay, so x1 here would be arctangent of A, and the other one would be pi plus the arctangent of a constant A, for instance. Okay, so this is how to find the values of the arcsine, arccosine, or arctangent of a certain value. So let's go to an example. Example number 1. Solve the equation 10 sine parenthesis x minus 0.2 is equal to negative 3. So this is the whole equation, and it is restricted in the domain for x, which is 0 to 4, 5, exclusive or inclusive of 0 and 4 pi. So how do we find the solution here? So to start with, let's copy the given equation. The given equation is 10 sine of x minus 0.2 is equal to negative 3. And that means that sine x minus 0.2 would be equal to negative 3 over 10 This is 10 over 10. So that means that sine of x minus 0.2 will be equal to negative 0.3. Therefore, x is equal to 0.2 plus negative or plus arcsine of 0.3. But we have certain values here which is restricted to the domain from 0 to 4 pi. Okay? So how do we find the first solution, or how do we find all the solutions? Now, in this case, when we say 4 pi, that means that it is actually revolving into two circles. Okay? Because in one circle we have 2 pi, and then it revolves again. So the first one will be 2 pi, and then 4 pi. So there are 2 revolutions in here. Okay? This is 0, 2 pi, and 4 pi. Okay? So just to give you a glimpse of what's happening here. This is our y-axis, and this is the x-axis, which are the values of the angles. So therefore, we would, following the general solution for sine and cosine, this would be plus 2 pi n. And since we are only restricted to 0 going to 2 pi, we don't need the negative 2 pi n. Okay? Because that would give you a negative answer. Or I mean, not the negative, it's here, the negative part of the sign. Okay, so let's go with the first solution. That would be when our n is equal to 0. So if n is equal to 0, well, let me write it down here so that you will not be, okay, you will not be, what do you call this, confused. So at n is equal to 0, this definitely becomes 0. We have x is equal to 0.2 plus sine or arcsine of 0.3. And following that solution, we're going to put all the labels in this calculator. So remember that we are to use the radian mode here because the numbers here indicate that they are on radians. So that means that we have 0.3 and an inverse. So we would choose the sine function and add it to 0.2. And that gives our first number. Okay? And that first number would be, did we get it right? I think we didn't. We have negative 0.3. Okay? This is negative. Okay? So we have, let's repeat it, negative 0.3. Okay? And the inverse sine plus 0.2, that would give us negative 0.1046. That's the first answer. Okay? So in this case, x is equal to negative 0.1046. What about when our n is equal to 1? Okay? Okay, so we put a divider here. For the solutions. So what about when our x or when our n is equal to 1? So that would mean that when n is equal to 1, we will have x is equal to 0.2 plus sine negative 1 of 0.3 or negative 0.3 plus 2 pi. And that means that x here will be equal to negative 0.1046 plus 2 pi. So plus 2 times pi, and that's equal to 6.1784. Okay, 6.1784. Okay. So what about when our n is equal to 2? Let's say n is equal to 2. Okay, that means that we have 2 pi n here. So that gives us that will give us if this is 4 pi instead of 2 pi, so that will give us negative or 0.1046 negative plus 4 times pi, that would give us 12.4616. Okay, this is already rounded up, so 12.4616. Or otherwise we have to begin again. We have negative 0.3, okay, 0.3 negative, and then okay, 0.3 negative inverse sine, okay, plus 0.2 plus 4 times pi, so that gives us 12.4616. So this would be x equals 0.2 plus sine negative 1 of negative 0.3 plus 4 pi, and this is equal to negative or positive instead, 12.4616. 12.4616. We're not yet finished, okay? Now, this is the first pair. I mean, we have a pair of, what do you call this? We have a pair of solutions, right? And we have introduced it there in the previous video. And so far, we have taken this solution, okay? So we have to do another solution, and that solution would be when x is equal to the supplement of this angle. Okay? So this is the first example. Or this is the first solution, but the second solution is when the supplement is taken, and that supplement is equal to x is equal to 0.2 plus the supplement, which is pi minus sine or arcsine of the angle, okay, plus 2 pi n, okay? So this is the second, or this is the pair. It completes the pair. We have two pairs, the angle itself and the supplement, because this is for sine, okay? And well, just to remind you, that came from here. Okay, we have the values. The values of the x's will be taken as this. Okay, we have this form. So we're just tracking these values right here. So what are the values of the solution for this one, for this solution expression? So when n is equal to 0, that means that our x is equal to 0.2 plus pi minus sine or arcsine of negative 0.3 plus 0. Okay, we don't need to write the 0 here. Okay, that means that our x here is equal to, well, using this calculator to find out what x is, we have 0.3 negative inverse sine. So that would be negative. Okay, and we have to multiply it with negative 1. That means 0.3046. Add it to pi. So that would be 3.446 plus 0.2. That would give us 3.6462. Okay. So this will be 3.6462. When n is equal to 1, then that would be 3.6462 plus 2 pi. So just add 2 pi here. So that would be 9.9294. Okay, so x would be 9.9214. Okay, or 9.9294 instead. And when n is equal to 2, then our x is equal to, we'll just add 2 pi again because we already have 2 pi here. So that means 9.9294 plus 2 times pi. That would be equal to 16.2126. Okay. Okay, but we remember that our purpose here is to find the solutions within the domain 0 to 4 pi. So we have to cross out those which do not include from 0 to 4 pi. So meaning we have to cross this out. Okay, this is not included. So let's cross it out. Okay, let's cross this out. What else? We have 4 pi is, what is 4 pi anyway? 4 pi is 4 times pi, that would be 12.5663. So we have to cross this out also. And so our solution set would include only 5 values, or 5 or 4 values. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So these are our answers. Okay, the solution set will be the set 3.6462, 6.1784, 9.9294, and 12.4616. These are the answers for this example.